Hi everyone, I'm Abby, and this video is for educational purposes only. Today is the first day of the impeachment proceedings involving Vice President Sara Duterte. As a Filipino, I wanted to make a simple video series about the 7 articles of impeachment approved by the House of Representatives against Vice President Sara Duterte. I'll be explaining each article based on how I personally understand it, using simple and easy to follow language. I'm not a lawyer, so this is not meant to be legal advice or an expert opinion. If you want a deeper or more detailed explanation, feel free to read the official documents, do your own research, or ask legal experts. To make everything easier to follow, I'll split this into 7 short videos, 1 video for each article. That way, if you want to go back and review a specific topic, it will be easier to find. Just remember, these are still allegations. They are not final conclusions. Vice President Sara Duterte has denied all the accusations and says the impeachment is unconstitutional and politically motivated. Now, if the impeachment trial moves forward, the Senate will act as the impeachment court. They will hear both sides, look at all the evidence, and then decide whether any of the charges have actually been proven. So the next video is going to be the first article. Imagine that a student leader at school publicly says, "If something happens to me, you know what to do to the principal's spouse, and the department head." Even if the student later claims it was just a joke or said it out of anger, people would still take the statement seriously because it could be understood as encouraging harm against specific individuals. This is similar to what Article 1 is about. The House of Representatives argues that Vice President Sara Duterte's public statements about President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., the First Lady, and the Speaker of the House were serious enough to be interpreted as threats or an alleged assassination plot. Since these statements came from one of the country's highest-ranking officials, the House claims they violated the Constitution and amounted to a betrayal of the public's trust. The main point is this: public officials are expected to be responsible and careful with their words because their statements carry significant influence. Even if they later say they were joking or speaking out of emotion, words that can reasonably be interpreted as threats against other government officials may lead to legal and constitutional consequences. Imagine your class collected 20,000 pesos for a school project. The class president was given the money because some expenses, like emergency purchases, needed to be made quickly. Since the money belonged to the whole class, everyone expected the class president to keep receipts and explain how it was spent. Later, when the class asked for a report, some receipts were missing and several expenses could not be clearly explained. Because of this, some classmates began to suspect that the money might not have been used properly and ask the teacher to investigate. It doesn't automatically mean the class president stole the money, but the missing records raised questions about how the funds were handled. This is similar to Article 2. The House of Representatives alleges that some confidential funds handled by Vice President Sara Duterte during her time in the office of the Vice President and as Secretary of Education were not properly documented or accounted for. Although confidential funds do not require every detail to be publicly disclosed because they are used for sensitive operations, they are still required to follow government rules and proper accounting procedures. Because of the alleged issues with the documentation, the House accused her of graft, corruption, and betrayal of public trust. When someone is trusted to manage money, that belongs to the public. Transparency and accountability are important. Even if certain expenses are confidential, there should still be enough records to show that the funds were used legally and according to government rules. If proper documentation is missing, it can raise doubts and lead to investigations or legal accusations. Imagine a school principal asks a committee to choose the best supplier for new classroom chairs. Instead of following the proper process, some committee members secretly favor a company owned by their friend, even though it is not the best choice. Because of this, other teachers and parents question whether the decision was fair and whether school rules were followed. This is similar to Article 3. The House of Representatives alleges that there were irregularities involving some officials in the Department of Education during Vice President Sara Duterte's term as Education Secretary. They claim that some actions may have violated the country's anti-graft law, which is intended to prevent corruption, favoritism, and the abuse of authority by public officials. These allegations suggest that certain decisions or actions may not have followed the legal standards expected of government officials. Government officials are expected to make decisions fairly, honestly, and according to the law. Even if corruption has not been proven, any action that appears to give unfair advantage, misuse authority, or ignore legal procedures can raise concerns, lead to investigations, and reduce the public's trust in government. Imagine you are applying for a scholarship and one of the requirements is to list all of your family's income, savings, and properties. If you accidentally or intentionally leave out some important information, the school may question whether your application is complete and truthful. Even if you qualify for the scholarship, failing to disclose everything required can become a serious issue. This is similar to Article 4. The House Representatives alleges that there were issues with Vice President Sara Duterte's statement of assets, liabilities, and net worth. A SALN is a document that all public officials must submit every year to declare their assets, liabilities, and financial interests. According to the House, some information may have been incomplete or not properly declared, raising questions about whether the legal requirements for filing a SALN were fully met. Public officials are expected to be honest and transparent about their finances. The SALN helps promote accountability and allows the public to check for possible conflicts of interest or unexpected wealth. If required information is missing or incomplete, it can lead to questions, investigations, and possible legal consequences. Imagine a school is investigating a series of serious bullying incidents. Some students claim that a student leader was involved or knew about what happened. Because the accusations are very serious, the school cannot simply accept them as true. Instead, it conducts a formal investigation, gathers evidence, listens to witnesses, and gives the accused student a chance to respond before making any decision. This is similar to Article 5. The impeachment complaint includes allegations linking Vice President Sara Duterte to incidents involving extrajudicial killings, including allegations related to the so-called Davao Death Squad. These are among the most serious accusations in the complaint because they involve alleged violations of the right to life and the abuse of power. However, at this stage, they remain allegations. During the impeachment process, those making the accusations would need to present evidence, while the vice president would have the opportunity to answer the allegations and defend herself. Serious accusations require strong evidence. In any investigation or impeachment proceeding, it is important to examine the facts carefully and allow both sides to present their evidence before reaching a conclusion. This helps ensure fairness and due process. Imagine a school student council is already dealing with many problems. Instead of helping resolve the issues, one of the council officers makes public statements that encourage students to lose trust in the council or refuse to cooperate with it. As a result, more students become divided, and it becomes harder for the council to do its job and keep order in the school. This is similar to Article 6. The House of Representatives alleges that some of Vice President Sara Duterte's actions or public statements may have encouraged efforts that could weaken or destabilize the government. According to the House, public officials, especially those holding high office, have a responsibility to protect government institutions and promote stability. They argue that actions or statements that could undermine public confidence in the government may be inconsistent with that responsibility. Leaders have a responsibility to help maintain public trust and support the stability of government institutions. At the same time, allegations alone are not proof. Any claim that a public official acted to destabilize the government must be supported by evidence and examined through the proper legal process before any conclusions are reached. Imagine a student at school gets reported several times during the school year, not just for one incident, but for different issues like repeatedly breaking school rules, failing to submit required reports, and ignoring school policies. One mistake alone might not be enough for a serious disciplinary action. But when the school looks at all the incidents together, they may conclude that there is a pattern of behavior that shows the student is not fulfilling their responsibilities as a student leader. This is similar to Article 7. Instead of focusing on a single allegation, the House of Representatives looks at all the previous allegations together. They argue that when viewed as a whole, these alleged actions show a pattern of conduct that amounts to betrayal of public trust and other impeachable offenses. Rather than relying on one event, the House claims that the combined allegations demonstrate a broader pattern of behavior. Sometimes one incident by itself may not tell the whole story. However, if several separate allegations appear to show a consistent pattern, they may be considered together when evaluating whether a public official has met the standards of their office. Whether that pattern is ultimately proven depends on the evidence presented during the impeachment process.